What's up, family? Man, something doesn't want this video getting out because I don't know how many times I tried recording it and it just didn't come out right. You know, the volume was messed up. It was real staticky, whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but we're going to get through that. You know what I mean? I want to have a real heart-to-heart with you guys today. As you can see, I'm on the road again, heading back to Atlanta. And so I apologize for the background noise, but I want to make sure that I got a video done so that I can upload tonight. Because once I get to Atlanta, man, I'm going to be busy. And it is what it is, you know. Years ago, in 1854, Herman Melville wrote this book called Moby Dick. And throughout his lifetime, he may have sold 2,000 copies at most by the time he passed away. Stay with me, we're gonna go somewhere. I love that story. I love that story. And God had to remind me of that and show me that. Stay with me. I'm gonna make sense of this, all right? What does that got to do with life? Because when you look at it, family, this man created a book. He wrote a book, wrote a story, put out a book, and published it. And by the time he died, he had only sold 2,000 copies worldwide. Most people never heard of him during his lifetime. The book, they didn't care about it. It was irrelevant. It was insignificant. Okay? There was no value to it. It wasn't until after he passed away, years after he passed away, that somebody came across the book and republished it. Didn't change anything, just republished it and found value and worth to that book. The same book in Herman Melville's time was irrelevant, insignificant, no worth to it, no value to it. Years after he's gone, that book becomes a classic in American literature. That book, the same book, goes on to sell millions of copies all around the world. That same book that others had dismissed, others had invalidated, others had deemed unnecessary and worthless. That same book has now sold millions and has gone on to become movies, major blockbuster movies. The same story that other people deemed irrelevant, the same story that other people dismissed and said there was no value to it. Why am I sharing that? Because that's our story. Family, that's our story. That's your story. That's my story. It don't matter where you came from. It don't matter what you've gone through. It don't matter that your family has dismissed you. It doesn't matter that your family has deemed you as the black sheep. It doesn't matter that your family and your friends and all your religious friends or whatever, co-workers, whatever. It doesn't matter what they thought about you. It doesn't matter that they've turned their back on you. It doesn't matter that they've seen and deemed you as crazy, as twisted, and man, you've gone off the rocker and all this other stuff because you've started thinking outside of the box. You disconnected from the matrix and you don't think the way they think anymore. You don't move the way they move anymore. You're not doing what they do anymore. Okay? And so they cut you off. They turned their back on you. Oh, they're tripping and whoopty-whoop. Man, it doesn't matter, family. It does not matter. Understand, we came here for a purpose. Tribe, we came here for a purpose, and that purpose is to change the world. What all these other people think about us, man, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Your purpose don't change based on what other people think about you. I'm gonna say that again. Your purpose does not change based on what people think about you. This same book, this same story that others deemed as worthless, not even worth buying, has now sold millions. It is used in colleges all over the world, taught and read in colleges all over the world. think about that for a second. All these people during Herman Melville's time saw no significance to this book. Years later, that same book is used in the highest universities, the highest colleges all over the world, and read and studied and dissected all over the world in all of the higher learning systems. The same book. Because now they understand its value. So many of us, we get so frustrated because we do, and nobody seems to value us. Nobody seems to cherish us. Nobody seems to acknowledge the fact of everything we're bringing to the table. Nobody seems to appreciate us. We raise our kids. We do all these things for our family members and they turn their back on us. We raise our kids and we do all these things for our loved ones and they act as though that's what we're supposed to do. We do all these things for everybody in our family and our friends and our co-workers and all these other people. And it's like, so what? No big deal. Family. Years ago, I used to talk to my late wife and I would tell her, man, whatever we was talking about, I would share some knowledge and wisdom that I gained. And for whatever reason, she couldn't accept it. For whatever reason, she could not accept it coming from me. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. I'm sharing this knowledge and understanding and insight that I've gained. But she could not receive it. She loved me, she cherished me, but she could not receive this information. But then she would get on YouTube or she would get on Google or whatever, and she would see information from somebody else. And it was always an older white guy. For whatever reason, it was always some older white guy, and she would accept it as the gospel. She would accept it as truth. She would accept it as, man, this is the Bible. This is the Bible. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that I shared with her. It's the same information, the same knowledge, but she couldn't receive it from me. She couldn't receive it from me. But now here's some guy that she's never met, never going to meet, saying the exact same thing. And sometimes he may have said it just a little differently, but for the most part, it was the exact same thing. And she could accept it and would accept it and would run with it and share it all over social media, share it with her family and her friends. But when I told it to her, she couldn't hear it. And so I started bringing this up to her. It's like, hey, how is it that every time I tell you something, you can't hear it, you won't receive it? But when this old white man said, and he's not even having a conversation with you, you just get on YouTube or you look at some book and you see that he's saying this, and this, and that, and you accept it and you run with it. It's fact to you now. But when I said it to you, I was tripping and I was wrong. And she would go back, we'd go back and forth. She's like, oh, you just always want to accept, you just always want praise, and you just always want to be right and all this other stuff, right? And we're like going back and it's like, hold on, wait a minute. It's not about just being right. It's not about being right. It's about I'm sharing some stuff with you that you won't receive. How come you can't hear me? How come you can't accept the fact that I'm giving you the same information that you reject, but yet when somebody else said it to you, you embrace? And so I took it as you rejecting me. I take it as you're rejecting me because you're not listening to me, but you're listening to all these other people. And so one day I got to the point I was just frustrated. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna start writing it down because you don't believe nothing I say. So I'm gonna write it down. Every time we get into these type of conversations, I'm gonna date it and write it down and I'm gonna show it to you. And that's what I started doing. And so we got into another conversation later and I was like, babe, I just told you this like 2 months ago. And she's like, no, you didn't. It's like, yes, I did. And she's like, you always want to be right, da, 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 da. She's like, oh my God, here we go again. So I'll go get my notebook out, pull it out. Look, on such and such a date, we had this conversation and I told you da-da-da-da-da-da. Exact same thing that you're talking about now. The exact same thing, damn near word for word. And you told me I was tripping. You told me I was crazy and all this other stuff back then, just a month ago. You told me that I was tripping and that I was wrong. Now because you read something, you don't got on Google, you don't heard something, you don't watch the video, now it's the gospel. Now it's fact. And she goes back and forth. You just want to be right and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm fucking done. You know what I mean? Stay with me. I'm going somewhere. And so I'm talking to God because I'm pissed off. I'm hurt. I'm offended. Man, God, I love my wife, but why is she rejecting me like this? How come she can't hear shit I got to say to her, but she can go hear some old white man? How come she can't hear shit that I'm saying to her, but she can hear other people say the exact same thing? And instead of God taking my side like I thought he would, you know what I mean? He slapped the dog shit out of me. You know, he slapped the dog shit out of me with some reality. And that pissed me off. Again, I'm in my feelings. I was in my feelings. And God slapped the dog shit out of me even more so. And he asked me, he said, Elijah, are you more concerned with her growth and development, or are you more concerned with proving that you're right? Are you more concerned with her learning, or are you more concerned with showing her how smart you are? And I'm like, what are you talking about, God? I just wanted her to learn, and I'm trying to help her learn. And what do? He said, okay, well then you should be happy that she finally got it. But you're not happy that she finally got it. You're pissed off that she received it from somebody else and didn't get it from you. And when he said it, it was like, oh, shit. And I had to catch myself. I was more concerned about her not validating the fact that, and confirming the fact, and acknowledging the fact that I shared this information with her. I was more concerned about that than I was with her learning, with her growing. And so it is with us, family. Don't wig out, don't trip out because your family don't accept you. Don't wig out, don't trip out, stop getting depressed and going in the funk because you're doing all this stuff and your kids don't value you. Your kids don't respect you. Your kids don't cherish you. Your kids this, that. Your parents did that. Your co-workers did it. Your boss did it. Man, stop. Stop. That's not what we came here for. That's not what you came here for. Remember who you are. Man, tribe, remember who you are. Our job, our role, our responsibility is to help bring healing into this world. To bring hope and love into this world. That's our role. That's our responsibility. That's our purpose. Don't get caught up in all the other stupid stuff. Check your ego and make sure that you're not being all emotional. Check your ego and making sure you're not tripping and wigging out because you're not getting credit and you're not getting the props and all that other stupid superficial crap. Because it ain't about that. It is what it is. It is what it is. Our role, our goal is to help bring healing into this world. Is to bring love into this world. Understand that Jesus Christ, Yahshua, whatever you want to call him, when he walked this planet, he didn't have that many people following him. He had a circle of 12 inner people. And one of those 12 betrayed him. One of those 12 sold him out. One of those 12 really didn't give a crap about him. It wasn't until after he died that Christianity was established and spread all over the world. The same thing with Buddha. The same thing with Buddhism. When Buddha walked this planet, he didn't have that many followers. It wasn't until after he died that his disciples, his followers, took his message and spread it all over the world. Buddhism, Christianity is been spread all over the world. And it didn't get spread all over the world until after those two people had passed away. Don't get caught up on the fact that, man, you're here and you're not getting your props like you think you deserve. Don't get caught up on the fact that, man, you're here and you're not getting your flowers now. That they're not worshiping you now. They're not kissing your ass now. They're not congratulating you and, man, telling you how much they love you and appreciate you and value you. Man, don't get caught up on that stuff, family. That's ego trip. That's an ego trip. Don't get caught up on that. Stay true to why you're here. Stay true to why you came here. My hope and prayer is that we learn to humble our ego and we put our ego in check. Tribe, we cannot get caught up in our ego. Our goal, our responsibility, our purpose is to change the world one person at a time, one heart at a time, one mind at a time. And we're going to fulfill that purpose because that's why we came here. I love you guys. Happy healing. Peace.